Hey everybody, welcome to Of Counsel, but this is Of Counsel Venture Series. So with this initiative, we're trying to get out everyone's platform who wants to participate in a way that's quick, affordable, because it's free, and in a way that people who are voting for candidates in the upcoming election can quickly digest 5-6 platforms on their way to work, and we can have all the candidates express who they are, what they're all about, why they're running for Venture. So our first guest, I'm very pleased to have Caryma with us. Caryma, what's your elevator pitch? Why are you running to become Venture?
So I look at Convocation, and there are obviously a lot of brilliant minds and experienced lawyers, but I don't see anyone who brings the perspective of a recent call who may be saddled with debt, who may be trying to open their firm, who's in a tight job market, who faces a very different landscape than when people graduated from law school in the 80s and everything seemed a lot rosier. So I want to bring that perspective to Convocation. That's what's motivated me to throw my name in the hat.
So tell me about yourself and what unique perspective you offer if joining Convocation.
So my educational background, I did my undergrad in international development and globalization at the University of Ottawa. I then completed my law degree and I was enrolled in the joint JD MA program, working towards my international affairs master's at the Norman Paterson School. I then articled at a Bay Street litigation firm, and after being called in 2016, a couple of months thereafter, I set up my own firm. I deal mostly in criminal and landlord-tenant matters with a focus on cannabis. And, you know, I appear regularly at the Landlord-Tenant Board, the Ontario Court of Justice, the Superior Court of Justice, Divisional Court. And in addition to my legal work, I am a advocate for public legal education. So I host monthly meetup events where members of the general public, whether or not they have any affiliation to the practice of law, can come and talk about legal discussions. I also do a fair bit of media commentary on legal issues, sometimes my own cases, and often just general commentary about developments in law.
What do you see as the single most pressing issue facing lawyers in 2019?
To me, the problem we should all turn our minds to are the barriers to entry and practice. So we've had a lot of important conversations about increasing diversity within the profession. And I'm strongly of the view that a more diverse bar is one that is more competent and better represents the interests of the community at large. But we can't have those talks in a silo, and we need to look at the bigger landscape. And when we think about high tuition fees, which if I were thinking to apply to law school today, I probably wouldn't. It's simply not affordable, even if you are very proactive with obtaining scholarships and really working in your spare time. It's a huge amount of money. And then when our students graduate, it's not the friendliest job market that they are entering. And I've seen in my own experience recent calls who would like to take on contract or agency work, haven't paid their licensing fees, can't afford to pay their licensing fees, don't have a firm who's willing to do that, and then they're trying to look for jobs and being turned away because of a lack of experience. And it's a very vicious cycle. So I think there's a lot that can be done to identify and reduce the pressures that recent calls face.
What are 3 things that you would like to see the Law Society accomplish in your term if you were on Convocation?
So the first thing that really speaks to the issue I was just talking about is some guidance and support for lawyers who want to start their own firms or who may have no option but to bring in their own clients. And that could be done in a number of different ways, as simple as ensuring all of the forms are in one place, easily accessible. I think that rather than having audit kind of thrust upon you when you've already formed habits, why not be proactive and have an option for lawyers to access in advance? So that's the first thing. I threw in a couple there, so I cheated. I'm sorry. I think, and I'll be quicker on the other two, I would say our website needs to be translated into more than just English and French. That's a really simple, straightforward thing that can be done. And the member assistance program, there's a lot of strengths to it, but I think that there are some gaps, and we need to consider how do we best ensure the mental wellness of our members, and can this be extended to other justice sector participants? How do we make those connections?
Okay, and what single character trait do you believe is essential for a successful venture?
I would say open-mindedness is key. It's my understanding that the staff at the Law Society do a heck of a job in preparing and compiling information for benchers to review, either in their committee meetings or at Convocation. So the resources are there, and the information is there. It's a matter of going through it in a thoughtful way, processing, and really being open to other perspectives.
Great. Outside of law, Caryma, what is an accomplishment you're most proud of?
Well, my cat knows how to open doors. I think it's more his accomplishment than mine. I would prefer if he didn't. But I would say I've spent some time abroad in India working with an organization, the Human Rights Law Network. And one of the tasks that I was assigned was to simplify the Domestic Violence Act. And, when thinking about how can we do that, I turned it into a cartoon, a little comic book. And that was then circulated to many individuals. And it was really more pictorial because there are various languages and literacy can be an issue. And I'm really proud that that's something that, I was able to spearhead and accomplish.
Well, Caryma, your succinctness in your advocacy is to be admired, because you're under the limit. And so I'm going to leave you another minute or two to talk about your last words and discuss anything that you think voters should know in considering electing you as bencher.
Okay, great. Short and sweet. First, Sean, I want to thank you for this initiative. I think it's really fantastic that you're opening the floor to anyone who wants to participate, and given some of the expenses that are associated with campaigning, it's out of my reach, for example, to post ads in the OR. So first of all, thank you for that. I appreciate that I don't have a whole wealth of experience in the field. My relatively short time has been eventful, so there's that. But really, I would like to have an opportunity to sit at Convocation and to ask some of the hard and uncomfortable questions that maybe aren't coming up. And that's really why I'm doing this. I would encourage any listeners to check out my campaign and platform. I'm very active on social media. So Twitter, my handle is @Caryma Rules, and my name is Caryma Sad, SA''D. You can find me on LinkedIn and Instagram as well. I'm also on Facebook. The main way that I've been campaigning in the spirit of my greatest non-law accomplishment is through editorial comics. So I tackle a whole host of issues in a lighthearted and hopefully insightful way. So I encourage people to check that out. And, I'm easy to reach. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate. And I'll use my last 30 seconds to say that historically, the voter turnout isn't great. And we know that there is vote trading that happens among larger firms. So whoever you cast your ballots for, dear listeners, I would encourage you to actually do it and not just think about it, not just passively like the tweets or reshare the posts, but actually have your voice heard, and hopefully that translates into a convocation that is more representative of the bar, of practitioners, of our various backgrounds, and let's get some stuff done.
Well, Caryma, you're to be commended. It's not easy for a person called as recently as you have been to run, but I really, really, really hope that this is an election where we have people under the age of 40 representing our lawyers, and I'm really pleased that you're our first interview guests to set the momentum and getting the word out there so that everyone starts to listen and hears all of the wonderful platforms like yours. So thank you for being on this special series of Counsel, and we look forward to seeing you in Convocation.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.